Okay. So what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about there's two things that I want to hit, which we discussed briefly, which is we both seen Avengers Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how we're feeling on that. This podcast is almost always just talking about superheroes, anyways. So.
Yeah, I figured this is basically just going to be the podcast that we do every time a new superhero movie comes out. We just see it and talk about it, and that's just what this is for. It's for this latest, latest dumb superhero movie we've seen.
Pretty much that. I'd also like to talk about, I know that you're a huge Sonic fan, and there was a big controversy with the Sonic trailer. So I'd like to get your ideas on that. And then, we usually probably One Piece. That
talk
happens
about whatever.
Every time.
Yeah, whatever.
So let's start with Avengers Endgame. You saw it first.
Yeah.
Like last week?
I saw it opening night.
How was that? How
Thursday.
Was it?
It was really fun.
Really?
We went to a Regal Cinemas, and the show was completely full. We had okay seats, and it was it was full of fans. It was pretty hype. Lots of people shouting and clapping, and overall, honestly, I loved the movie. I thought it was great. I loved Infinity War. I thought this was basically almost as good, maybe not as tight of a movie, not as well structured as Infinity War, but in terms of just the experience of watching it, it was one of the most fun movies I've ever seen. I think I loved it, honestly.
Right.
What did you think?
Well, I went to go see it this Thursday.
Yeah, you saw it a week after it came out,
and the theater was still packed. I mean, we had really good seats. We got really lucky and had not the front row, but the second section front row.
Oh yeah, that's the place to be.
Prime seats. I had my feet on the
on the bar.
On the bar, it was great.
Oh, those are the best seats.
Perfect seats. And everyone. The theater was nearly sold out. Everyone was really hype. Everyone's my big pet peeve in movies is people clapping, especially at things that were in trailers. I hate that so much. When we went to go see The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah.
I remember people were clapping when Han Solo showed up and the Millennium Falcon showed up, and I was like, guys, we knew going in 100%. We knew 100%. This is the same scene.
What are you clapping for? We already saw this.
I was
what are you so excited about?
I get it. I'm being a curmudgeon a little bit. No. People do go to these things. If you're going to the theater, you're going for this experience as well.
Yeah.
But at least that was I was way more forgiving at this because I was you know what, they're clapping at legitimately epic moments. They're clapping at things that nobody knew about. Also, that's a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I liked the film, but I think I have a lot more reservations than I think you do. I think that it was a very good film, or it was a very good experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it was a good film, and I don't know that I'm going to watch it again and love it as much.
Yeah.
I think it's a film where I can tell already I probably shouldn't see this again anytime soon, at least, because it's just not going to hit in the way it did. I think that's the best way to put it.
I definitely feel that somewhat. I think a lot of the fun of this movie, weirdly, was just the surprise of not knowing exactly where it was going, and that's a feeling that you don't really get in action movies these days. Action movies are usually really, really predictable, at least in their in terms of the overarching plot and the structure and all that stuff. This one was different in that full on spoilers for this
let's
thing. But honestly, if you're a fan, you've already seen it. Let's be real. They kill Thanos in the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, and then there's just a 5-year jump, and we see how everyone has been dealing with half of the planet being gone, and from there, it's, a lot of this stuff wasn't in the trailers. A lot of people figured that time travel would be a factor somehow, but I was never sure how exactly it would happen. I wasn't sure, if they were going to fight the normal Thanos. When our original Thanos just gets his head chopped off in the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, that was completely unexpected. I no longer have any idea where this movie is going or who the bad guy is going to be. And that's a refreshing feeling. It's not often that I go into an action movie, especially a superhero movie, being okay, who are they gonna fight? like, what's gonna happen here? Eventually, they do just fight Thanos again, but like, it happens in a somewhat clever and interesting way, and the whole plot is basically a time heist, which is super fun and not something you see a lot in these big dumb superhero movies. I don't know, just the surprise of not knowing how the movie was gonna go was really, really fun. And
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, I agree. Going into the film, I knew that a couple people's contracts were up, so I was like, all right. I think I asked you. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Tony Stark's gonna kind of still be around doing cameos or something like that because he's so integral to the universe. I was like, Captain America's probably done because I think Chris Evans has just straight up said, like, I'm done. I thought, Thor was done because, like, keeping that kind of physique is really hard.
Apparently, Chris Hemsworth has said
I know. I saw that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll keep playing Thor as long as they'll let me. So
Yeah,
like, he's down to keep being Thor. So I like that because I love Thor.
Scarlett Johansson, I legitimately did not for a minute think she was.
No, I didn't see
all.
that. I didn't see that coming at all. Though apparently, there is still a Black Widow solo movie on the horizon.
The past.
Oh, is it going to take place in the past?
Take place in the past.
See, I was wondering if it would take place like in some, like, if she goes into the Soul Stone and there's some like alternate universe or something. Like, is it confirmed though that it's just going to be?
I've heard that it is like a flashback. It's
Okay.
basically an origin film.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take that.
It's all right. So that actually brings up one of the things about this movie that I was less stoked about is like this movie really opens up the possibility, like, it does what comics do, right? Where in a comic, nobody is dead, ever, especially if they tell you, this person's really 100% dead.
Nobody's ever really gone.
I mean, it's true, though. Like, they've introduced a mechanic. Time travel is just possible.
Yeah.
It's not like it's hard to do, either. They've got it. They know how to do it. So, like, who says anyone's dead? None of this really... Like, their rules for time travel are really quite odd, I guess.
Very loose rules.
Yeah.
The rules are super vague because, in one sense, there's a lot of, like, it's time travel.
It
so
doesn't make any sense.
Of course, you can nitpick it to death, and I'm sure people are going to do that. People have already started doing that. It's been a week since the movie came out, and already there's videos online, like, the one fatal flaw of Endgame that no one is talking about. And it's like, how did Captain America go back in time and end up in our current timeline? And it's like, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No one cares.
I mean, yeah,
it's not relevant.
It's one of those things where, like, the time travel is used as a really clever way to, like, revisit the highlights of the Marvel, like, cinematic universe. And, like, that was... seeing those scenes again was awesome. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy, like Peter Quill doing his dance, and then them watching him doing his dance with no music was like, I like laughed. I legitimately laughed out loud. The Captain America getting into the elevator, and like you're like, I was like, oh dude, they're just gonna do that awesome elevator fight again, and then like they're just they subvert it with like a Hail Hydra. Like that was brilliant. Like they just kept doing that.
Yeah, it's basically just a greatest hits. It's the MCU greatest hits, and it's just a compilation. They're going back to all these sort of iconic moments and revisiting them from a different angle. And they're really funny most of the time.
I'd say more than a greatest hits, it's like a remix. Like it's like a remix album of a classic, like a Led Zeppelin song, where it's always you're seeing this thing but from a different perspective, or things are like slightly different, and I really dug that. By the way, just got to put this out there, I talked to two people at work about this movie today, and I made a promise that I would in fact shout them out on this podcast. So
okay,
Chris and Justin, if you're listening, I kind of hope you're not, because I don't want anyone at work to know that I
Everyone at work knows. Everyone at work now knows about this podcast. They are all listening to it. Colin's work people enjoy listening to Colin and his roommates' terrible opinions. Yeah.
So about politics.
Anyway, oh god, let's talk about religion.
Yeah.
Wait, we've actually done that kind of. Remember when we talked about Yahoo Answers and how we used to be
atheist.
Yeah, we used to be edgy YouTube or edgy middle school atheist boys.
Yeah, it's like
that's a classic.
I'm Thunderfoot. And
I think honestly that's the best podcast we've ever done. Is the one where we didn't even talk about a superhero movie in that one. We just reminisced about middle school.
Pat, it's because our middle school years were like
superhero
origin story.
Yeah.
It's just instead of being superheroes, we turned out to be kind of like lame middle-aged,
lame 20-somethings. That's what we'll be for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, it's like how in Shazam. We can talk about Shazam.
Oh yeah, Shazam. Shazam is still fresh-ish.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Not as fresh as Endgame, but
it's worth talking about. But
yeah.
Anyways,
back to Endgame.
It really was like I think it was a great experience. It was something that, it really built to like it's amazing. Like looking back, it is absolutely amazing that they managed to do this.
Yeah, it's a legitimately impressive feat of making this universe and making everything work together, and then finally, and to have this final sort of capstone, this big like just celebration of all the stuff they've done in the last 10 years, and it works. Yeah. Like it's not like I remember saying that same thing about Infinity War is like but Infinity War even doesn't feel as much like a
send-off.
Yes, Infinity War is really just, this is basically one movie, and Infinity War is just the first half, and it's like, it was just impressive that they managed to juggle so many different things and have it all be one coherent movie. And this one, it's just a full-on celebration of that, just like, look at what we've accomplished here, and then have satisfying conclusions for a bunch of these characters that we're basically retiring now. It's just super impressive. I
think it is going to legitimately change the way. I mean, it already the Marvel Cinematic Universe has changed how film is.
Yeah,
I think Endgame is going to be is in itself going to change film to some extent, because it's going to be the standard that everyone like will look to finales for.
Yeah, and I get a lot of people's superhero fatigue has been sort of lurking in the back of everyone's mind for a long time. I feel like it's been kind of building ever since, I don't know, like Age of Ultron. People have been like, oh, I'm just tired of these superhero movies. And like, I get that. I get it. It's a little frustrating maybe if they're not your big thing, to see this become like the new standard of big action blockbuster. Like, this is just what movies are like now. I get that being a little frustrating, but like, if you're into it like I am, this is like the best time to be watching movies, because they've never been like, the MCU is a wholly unique thing so far, and if other things get their act together and start making stuff as good as the MCU has done it's gonna be amazing. Unfortunately, no one the only other one that has like kind of done that is arguably the Harry Potter movies, which did a
I thought it was the Cars franchise.
The Cars also very impressive.
In Cars
universe.
2 made her as a spy, and I thought that really said a lot about society.
And then in the third one, they race on a beach.
Yeah.
And Lightning McQueen says, "Life's a beach."
No, he says, "Ka-chow!"
He says, "I'm Owen Wilson."
Ka-chow!
That's my Owen Wilson impression.
You want to hear mine?
No.
Ka-chow!
Oh, God. But that's... Yeah, the Harry Potter movies arguably kind of did that with a series of 8 movies, all with basically the same cast, telling one coherent story over, like, how long did it take to make those? Like 15 years or something? Like a pretty long time.
But
that's impressive.
It can't hold a candle to what the MCU did.
Because the MCU, this is something I only realized recently rewatching like Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War and some stuff, is that one of the things that makes these movies really feel like a universe and not just like a series of movies is that the characters do seem to have lives and things that they're doing outside of the movies. Like, we'll just hear about like in the beginning of Thor Ragnarok, we haven't seen Thor since the end of Age of Ultron. It's been like 2 years or something, and he's just been going around doing other stuff. Like, him fighting Surtur in the beginning is just kind of the culmination of his current adventure that he's on, which we just didn't get to see, and that's fine. It really makes it feel like these characters are going off and doing other things that we don't necessarily need to hear about, but they're still, even if it's not the subject of a movie, stuff is still happening. This universe feels more like a real place because there's this stuff that we just don't get to see, and I think that's a cool thing that they do. Like Captain America, the same way, when he shows back up in Infinity War, we haven't seen him in several years. It's been like Civil War was like what, 2016? There's a 2-year period where we don't see Cap, but it's implied that him and Falcon and and Black Widow have been going off doing missions, doing all of these things that they talk about in Infinity War, but they're not necessary for us to see. It's just like nice knowing that they're doing things. It's kind of the opposite of the Star Wars prequels, where if you remember at the end of Revenge of the Sith, that takes place 24 years or whatever before, 20 some years before A New Hope. Every single character just goes to where they're going to be in A New Hope and apparently just sits there for 20 years. Does not move a muscle. Yoda goes to Dagobah and chills. Obi-Wan goes to fucking Tatooine and just sits there forever.
Watches a baby.
Darth Vader stands on a ship, and that's where he's gonna be for the next 20 years, and it's just, that's it. These characters do not have lives other than what is important to the overarching story, and that, it just feels so fake when things are like that.
I mean, I'll say that I think the Marvel, what Marvel has done really is incredibly impressive. Like, the characters are so well defined, or honestly, actually, now that I'm saying this, I kind of have reservations. The characters feel really defined. Like, I feel like I know who they are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, even talking, like, let's just talk about Endgame for a little bit. There's that part where Thor is like, he's back in his time and he steals his hammer.
Mm-hmm.
For one, that's a dick move. Just gonna point that out there. And like, I understand why they do it, because later on there's the big Captain America can use Thor's hammer, and like, that's rad. That's rad.
That's
probably the highlight of the movie to me.
Yeah, honestly, that's one of the best moments
when he
when
he threw the hammer and then threw his shield off of the hammer. I was like, well, that's it.
I mean, the theater went fucking bananas when he caught the hammer, when it showed him like taking it back into his hand, and everybody went crazy, and that was really fun. And then when he shot lightning with it, holy shit.
But let me ask you something. Ask you something. So I was talking with some people at work, I think it was Chris, and I mentioned the fact that, like, isn't it weird though, because in Thor Ragnarok they make a pretty big point of being like, Thor, the hammer is not what defines you. It channels your powers, but it is, you are the power. So like, it's weird.
Why can Cap
How
shoot
is
lightning?
he shooting lightning and stuff?
I mean, if you want to be if you want to be literal about it, the inscription on the hammer says, whoever wields it shall have the power of Thor. So like, I mean, presumably they did that in Thor Ragnarok to show Thor that, the power is in you all along. That doesn't mean Mjolnir doesn't have any power.
It just feels weird, right? Like, it was something where when I was watching the film, I was like, something about it seemed off. It's weird because these characters seem really consistent. Like, I think I know who Thor is, but then I think about it and I'm like,
yeah, Thor
from the first film, Thor from any film before Ragnarok to this Thor, like, entirely different person.
Thor in particular, he's the one who gets a lot. Yeah. Most of the characters I'd say are very consistent. Thor is the only one that like really changes, and honestly, he changed for the better anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, definitely.
They made him way more interesting when they made him the, goofy, exceedingly powerful, kind of silly dumb guy. Like, that's way more fun than how he used to be.
It's the reason why, like, going back to the Justice League thing we did a while ago, Justice League's a bad film, but one of the things I genuinely like is that when Superman does show up, he's like not the Zack Snyder Superman.
Yeah.
And I dug that.
He doesn't feel like the dour, sad Superman from Man of Steel. Like he's like fun, and he when he makes his big entrance in the final thing, he's like, what does he say? He's like, "This guy bothering you?" Or like something like that.
Something silly, and you're like, "Oh yeah, all right, I'm down with this."
Superman's Conan.
It wasn't earned, but I was like, "All right, I'm down with this because I want this." But yeah, like I don't know, Endgame. It felt like there was a lot of weird stuff. Like I can't point anything out. It just feels like if I watch it again, it wouldn't hold up as well.
I mean, I don't remember any particular character inconsistencies in Endgame. I'm not sure where you're getting that from. Just because I don't remember any of that.
It might have just been Thor.
Is it just Thor?
I think it might have just been Thor.
Because Thor is extremely goofy in Ragnarok. He takes a turn for the serious again in Infinity War. Like, he's pretty serious in Infinity War. He still like says goofy stuff.
He's got a lot of good one-liners.
But yeah, but
also, can we just say that I guess it has been determined. You remember way back in Infinity War, I was like, why does Thor think the rocket is a rabbit?
Oh yeah.
All Asgardians think he is a rabbit.
Asgardians just don't know what raccoons are, so they see that and just think it's a rabbit. I guess a very weird rabbit.
I felt very vindicated.
I thought that was super funny when they're like, "Get that rabbit," and I was like, they all think he's a rabbit. That's funny.
Go on.
There's a ton of great little nods to the canon like that.
Did you hear about the 3000 thing?
I Love You 3000?
Yeah.
What is it?
That's
a reference to Andre 3000?
Of course. That's the number of minutes that are in all of the Marvel Universe films up to this point.
Wait. Oh, yeah, I guess I was going to say that doesn't seem like nearly enough, but then I think about it, 3,000 minutes, yeah, that seems about right.
Apparently that's the thing. I
believe it.
I saw that on Facebook, but like I believe it enough.
Was the movie, like the Endgame, originally they were going to do that, but Endgame was only 2.5 hours long, and they were like, "Oh shit, we've only got 2,000."
Get everyone back.
Oh jeez, we got 2,970 minutes. We gotta make because Endgame is 3 hours long.
3 hours and 2 minutes.
But it does not feel that long. I have to say, I did have to pee. I did have to pee towards the end. I made a point. I remember going into the theater, and I was like, man, I really want an icy. But this movie is 3 goddamn hours long. I cannot afford to have a drink right now and then have to get up and pee in the middle of this movie. Because I know that there is not going to be, after a certain point, there is not going to be a second of downtime.
And honestly, throughout Endgame, there's only, in the beginning, there's a little bit of downtime. And then it basically just kicks out. So
once the time heist starts, the pace, it never really lets up.
Speaking of, who is your favorite character in this film?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I really like Iron Man as just the sort of this really cements his place as the protagonist of the first phase of the MCU because he gets the biggest character arc and he gets the biggest payoff.
Yeah.
So I really liked Iron Man in this movie. I loved how he starts out the movie. Even his arc in the movie itself is really well done. Like he starts out on the brink of death, and he gets saved and comes back, and he's like, in a really bad shape, and he's angry that Captain America wasn't there and that they've lost and all that stuff. And eventually it's sort of the culmination of his arc that he had in Avengers 1, where he starts out as this, self-centered, millionaire playboy who eventually sacrifices his life to stop the bad guys in Avengers 1. He happens to survive that. This one, they do the similar thing, but take it one step further, and he actually has to give his life to save the universe in this one. And I really like that it's not a complex arc, but it's well done.
Oddball choice for me. I didn't think I'd like him as much as I did. Ant-Man in this.
Ant-Man was great.
Was just every line was just so funny. Like when they're like, because he's doing things like I was like, yeah, I didn't even think about it, but like, yeah, when they're like the Thanos had the Infinity Stones, like we got to go find them, and he's like, all right, one question though, what are the Infinity Stones? Like, and you're like, yeah, I guess that's true. Like.
He's never encountered any.
Like he doesn't know anything. He's just the dude. He's just the guy who like was there once. He has like the best line, which is I think that's America's ass.
Yeah, that was good. I liked, my favorite line of his was when they were like, so a time machine. He's like, well, not quite. Okay, yeah, a time machine. The timing on the jokes in the MCU, very good. All the jokes landed for me.
There wasn't a joke that I didn't think was funny.
I like a lot of the. I think this movie makes Infinity War seem all the more impressive in its planning, because I'm pretty sure these movies were created and filmed at the same time. Like, these were always intended to be a part 1 and a part 2, and you can really feel that in sort of the more conspicuous absences in Infinity War. Like, why isn't Hawkeye there? Why isn't Ant-Man there? Well, turns out they both have pivotal roles in Endgame. Yeah. So there's no one's wasted. There's a
few characters who don't have anything to do, because like Captain Marvel doesn't have anything to do, but like also that's because if she was around, the plot is over.
Yeah, I get why they did that, but it really just makes me wish. Oh, we could also talk about Captain Marvel, because I
haven't seen that film.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh, okay. I saw it. It was fine.
I've heard it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
I've heard that Brie Larson does not have enough to do. Like,
the problem with the Captain Marvel, quick tangent into the Captain Marvel solo movie, I think it's a perfectly fine, just sort of middle of the road Marvel movie, but it's kind of weird in that the big problem is the protagonist. I almost called her Brie Larson. Carol Danvers. Her personality is not very well defined. I never got a good sense of like who she was in this movie, and it was just kind of like, okay, you're a little sassy, you're a little, heroic, you're a little some other things, but like overall, it's just kind of a mishmash of personalities, just a blob of things, and I don't really know who she is. And
I've heard that. I've heard that like she's essentially like not perfect, but her personality is confident.
Yeah, I'm confident,
strong.
I'm confident, and I have no flaws. And I mean, whatever. I mean, superhero movies are just power fantasies anyway. Yeah, I get it.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it does make it hard for me to like care, because like you say that superhero movies are just power fantasies, and I agree.
A lot of the time,
Iron Man is definitely a character. Captain America is a character. Like but that said, they had more time.
Yeah,
I think
that's
definitely
the
big difference.
The thing is, it's kind of weird that they decided to do Captain Marvel right before Endgame, as if she was gonna play some important role.
Nothing.
Because I mean, Captain Marvel is, like, comics wise, is a pretty important Thanos opponent. Thanos is she fights. Marvel was had a whole thing with Thanos, and Carol shows up in the first 10 minutes. Her and Thor just go and manhandle the old Thanos, which we already knew they could do. And then she's just gone for the movie until the finale. And that's a real disappointment.
She also like, I remember when I was watching it, I was like, why aren't they bringing her with them, right?
Right.
Like, and my friend was like, well, it's because she says in the film, like,
she makes an excuse.
Well, she's like, I'm busy. I won't be able to hear you guys.
Yeah.
So this is the last time we're going to talk for a while. And I was like, okay, that's all well and good, except like at the end of the film, she shows up though.
Yeah.
And it's like, my friend was like, well, Doctor Strange did. And I was like, no, he like explicitly doesn't. She flies in from space.
I mean, Doctor Strange could have contacted her or something. I don't know. Yeah. It could also just be a coincidence that she showed up. Whatever. I don't really care about that.
I'm fine with that, but it just means that it's like, it really becomes even more flimsy of like, oh yeah, she just happened to show up a day later when she's like, there won't be communication for a while now.
Anyway, I'm back.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I forgot my toothbrush.
It does. It does feel a little like, and this is, I was just praising the planning of these movies, and it feels like, I don't know if the Russo brothers, the directors of these two movies, I don't know if they were involved in Captain Marvel, but I feel like whoever made Captain Marvel kind of put the Russo brothers in a tight spot.
No, it's the opposite.
By making. What?
Captain Marvel was made after this.
Oh, I guess that's true.
This was her first.
Maybe not in the making, but in the planning stages when they were like, this is the power level of Captain Marvel that we're gonna work with in this movie. That seems to have kind of fucked up their plans for Endgame because she is so absurdly powerful that they had to write her out of the movie.
Yeah,
they had to make sure she wasn't around.
There's like a scene that got everyone clapping in the theaters, and it's on the face of it.
Cool
I was like,
scene.
it's an awesome scene where Spider-Man is like, "Oh, I'm gonna die," and then Captain Marvel shows up and she's like, "Hey, give me that glove. I can take it." And he's like, "How are you gonna get through this whole army?" And like every female character in Marvel, which all 8 of them. All 8 of them are like, don't worry, we'll clear a path. And like they're doing stuff, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine, except like the next scene is her being like, lol.
Anyway, bye.
And she goes through, she has no one who's even close to her.
No,
like
even
Thanos hits her and she doesn't move.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, at this point, like, why does Tony even need to sacrifice himself?
Yeah.
She'll just kill him with her bare hands.
There's a definite sort of power level problem in Endgame.
It's what happens in Justice League.
But I don't really care. I mean, it's there, and I understand it as a flaw, and you can, again, like with the time travel thing, you can go into the power level stuff and nitpick, and you can nitpick and find problems, and then you can just as easily make excuses and be like, oh, Thanos wasn't at his peak at whatever time, he wasn't fighting at his full potential, whatever. You can make all those excuses.
Fought, Thor and Captain America and all
I mean, the excuse I've seen people saying, like, well, Iron Man fought one-on-one with 4-stone Thanos, and then Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America with Mjolnir couldn't handle no-stone Thanos. Look, I get that as a complaint. I don't really care. But the excuse I've seen online is, like, I think an okay one. In Infinity War, Thanos, when he was doing that fight on Titan, when he, 1v1'd Doctor Strange and, 1v1'd Iron Man, he had just killed Gamora at that time. So I don't think it's unreasonable to just be like, okay, he was emotionally distraught and just in, like, you can see he's just, like, in rage mode for a lot of that scene, and he's not fighting at his full potential.
He's not mad at them.
He's mad at himself. Oh my god. Like, I get that,
I can feel that.
All the power level stuff I don't think is really relevant.
I don't think it's relevant
it
to
doesn't
this.
matter.
It's not relevant to this film, but it is something that could become relevant in other Avenger films.
Yes.
That the problem I see is something has to either everyone else needs to come up, or they need to figure out a way that Captain Marvel has her own plot line in every Avenger film.
Yeah, she's gonna. It's kind of like
strong. It's Superman Justice League, where I love that. I like Superman, but Superman is not that much stronger than the rest of the Justice League, and that's important because if he is, why have anyone else?
I mean, it's the same thing people were talking about back after the first Avengers. Not Captain America, the first Avenger.
You mean
first Avengers movie.
What's Hawkeye doing there?
Well, one, what's Hawkeye doing there? But also after that, when it was like, now it's Iron Man 3, and everyone was just like, why doesn't Iron Man just call up the Avengers?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a fair question, but
yeah.
I mean, do we really care that much? I mean, I get it. I was just talking about how the universe and the movies really do feel interconnected, and it's a little dumb when all these problems that they're dealing with in their solo movies could be, handled if they just contacted their buddies who live in the other movies.
But I mean,
get that.
It's the same reason why in comics they don't always just call someone else when something happens.
Because not everything can be a crossover.
I'm down with that.
Also, pretty much everything in phases 2 and 3 after Age of Ultron, I guess after Avengers 1 and Age of Ultron, they're very crossover heavy after that, and I like that. But, it's not fair to just be like, why didn't they call the Hulk?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
no,
I get
that. I get that.
There wouldn't be a movie? I don't know.
My concern is more like in Avengers 5, I guess?
Sure.
Avengers 5.
After Phase 4.
I assume that Captain Marvel is going to, stick around, and I genuinely don't know what you could throw at Captain Marvel that would, be a challenge without, killing everyone else.
I mean, here's my hope.
I still hold, Doctor Strange is still the most broken person in that entire universe.
That was actually probably my biggest disappointment about this movie, is that I in Infinity War, I thought the fight between Doctor Strange and Thanos, and then the fight between Iron Man and Thanos, were like the two best things in all of superhero movies. Like, those fights were so amazing.
Doctor Strange turns like the sun into butterflies or something.
He turns a black hole into butterflies.
That's ridiculous.
Those are the fights where I was watching them and I was like, man, it is so awesome that the Marvel universe has so perfectly escalated its scales up to where this is like a big deal, but it's like an understandable, reasonable thing that you can look at and just be like, whoa, that's awesome, and not be like, what the hell is this shit? Like, someone who's never seen any of the Marvel movies would be like, what's going on? I don't understand any of this.
Why is that raisin fighting the...
Yeah, but if you've been keeping up with it, it's like, this is what it's been leading up to. Like, it's a really great escalation of the scales, and I like that. But my big disappointment with this movie is that Doctor Strange basically got nothing to do. He held water,
teleports people in.
He brought everyone in, which was cool, which was a really great moment when all the portals start showing up and everyone in the theater was like, "Yeah, look at all the characters coming in."
That is when I was saying like favorite scene. The best scene is Captain America getting up and he's like, "I'm gonna go fight Thanos alone," and then you just hear
Cap, on your left.
And then every character that has ever existed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe just shows up to fight.
That was great. Except, like I said, Captain Marvel crashes the ship, and that makes a bunch of water threaten to hit people. So Doctor Strange sacrifices his next 8 turns to
cast Time Stop on the water.
To stand there and make a big water tornado, and that's all he does for the rest of the fight. It's like, you don't want him to go help? I don't know. It's also, it's like, when the power levels are this wildly different, you got to come up with some way to just neutralize people so that they don't just win the fight. So that they don't fight and just get destroyed, and you'd be like, why would Doctor Strange lose to no stone Thanos? That would be insane, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you have to make him go do something else. It's just a shame that he didn't get to do anything. I don't know. I would have liked to see him do something cooler than that.
It's sad because he definitely does have the best. Like, Doctor Strange's power set is so vague because it's just magic. And
he can just do anything.
He can make anything happen, so, like, it's cool. Like, his fight scenes can be really cool and imaginative, But it's just, it's weird. I think that that's my only concern with the Marvel Universe going forward is, like, it's going to be real hard to keep people feeling relevant. Like, they managed to do it in Phase 1 by having, like, Hawkeye and Black Widow, like, more or less be the heart of the team.
Yeah.
And, like, Captain America, for some reason, like, he's just so badass that you're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. And also by, like, sort of powering down Thor and the Hulk from how they are in the comics, not making them as powerful as they are until Infinity War, where Thor gets that powerful.
Yeah, honestly, that Thor is the other character. Like, if that Thor, because in this movie they depower Thor again, by just making him
that's another
fat drunk.
That's another example of how they have to come up with these things that don't feel contrived, because I mean, Thor becoming fat is really funny.
Yeah, it's a funny joke.
It doesn't feel like, if they just did that. That's so dumb. We can talk about that. But they don't feel like contrivances because they work and they're funny. But if you think about it for too long, it is like, okay, yeah, they made Thor fat so that he wouldn't kill Thanos.
They made the Hulk smart so that he'd be less dangerous.
He also doesn't get to do anything in the final fight. I don't believe he even shows up in the final fight. He doesn't have a single moment. He's like
holding the water. He's like holding the building up.
Yeah, he does very little, which is a little disappointing. But a lot of most of the characters that you want to see do cool stuff get to do cool stuff.
People get moments, and that's all. That's really, in a movie like this, that's all you can give them is moments. Like, nobody,
just good moments.
Nobody can. The only 2 characters who have anything like an arc are, well, I guess there's more.
Cap and Iron Man are the main ones, though.
Cap and Iron Man, much like you were saying, Iron Man is the protagonist of the original Marvel films. I'd say that Captain America is the only other character that you could be like, or him. It's one of those 2 is like the protagonist, because Cap also has his story. Like, he goes through almost the same story, The Man Out of Time. It is the exact same thing as the first one. Yep. And it ends with him This is kind of weird, honestly. The ending for this,
Him getting to live out his days with Peggy.
It's nice. I
really liked it.
I like it, but it's one of those things.
Not
where I'm
logically.
Like, yeah, it's like again, it makes the time travel stuff almost worse because you're like, well, what?
Well, there is an explanation I've heard that seems to make some sense to me.
It's a movie.
Well, that's the main one, but also the other idea is that Captain America has been living with Peggy this entire time.
Yeah.
He has the Captain America that goes back at the end of this movie has secretly through all of these movies been Peggy's husband this entire time. He
kissed his daughter.
He kissed his niece.
Oh, niece. Okay, niece. It's not less creepy.
Well, niece not related by blood. So.
Oh, we're good. We're good. Never mind.
I mean that is weird, but the theory is that when Captain America saw her in her office or whatever when they went back in time, the reason that we didn't see what Peggy was doing in the reason why she had his picture on it on her desk could just be reminiscing, but it's been years, so she really doesn't need to. It's a little odd that she still has a picture if she doesn't, if he's not around anymore. A little weird. But the other thing is that a man comes in and is talking to her. The theory is that is Captain America. That is Captain America already having gone back in time and is now living out his days with Peggy already. And that really what Captain America saw when he went back there and saw Peggy again was he was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to go back in time and live out the rest of my days with Peggy because I already did. That's me doing it right now.
And
it's not an okay theory.
It's not a bad theory, but it does still lead to me be like, Captain America, why didn't you tell everyone, yo, S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra. S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra.
I guess it's because he
everything
considers himself retired because he already knows that everything will be fine.
Everything works out, but people die.
Not many people.
I'm pretty sure Captain America could have, if he was able to warn, I guess changing the future, what happens, or if you even can, I don't know.
It does bring up the issue with Captain America's character. Is he really someone who would intentionally retire and then go back in time and presumably now he's just some old guy who's witnessing all of the events that have happened in the MCU up to this point. He's just chilling. I think that's fine.
It's a good send up for the character, but it's not necessarily.
It's not necessarily completely consistent with his character, but it's a good way to give him a happy ending and let that character retire without just killing him. It's the same thing they did with Paul Walker in the Fast and the Furious movies, where Paul Walker's dead, the actor has died. What are we gonna do to send off this character? People were like, well, they're just gonna kill him. That'd be kind of shitty. Yeah, let him retire. He retires from the action life and he lives out his days with his family. That's a cute ending, and they do the same thing with Cap.
What if this is my only thing is if you don't want to kill the character off, but you want him to stay. I guess the problem with this that I'm thinking of is it leads to more than they want. But what if instead of having the old man sitting on the bench, when Bucky's like, hey, look, and they look over at the bench, there's just the shield there.
Yeah.
It's that simple. He didn't come back, something happened, there's the shield. I think that could have been just as
But then you wouldn't get the scene where he dances with Peggy and everyone in the theater cries.
That's true.
That was a very sweet scene.
Everyone
was like, oh,
it means it means he doesn't get his send off, but I think for the character, that is way more in line with what Captain America's not it's like Superman or Batman. They're not the kind of people who will just be like, well, time to retire. Yeah. It's just not who they are.
I kind of like it. I kind of like it sort of with the conflict between Iron Man and Cap that they've been setting up for all these movies. It was most apparent in. It's been most apparent in the Avengers movies and then also in Civil War.
They flip.
But exactly. They sort of flip their endings. Cap has always just been I'm a soldier. I'll fight forever. I'll give up my life for to save people. Yada yada. I'm honorable, noble, willing to do that, to make that sacrifice. And Iron Man has always been, I mean, his whole... I rewatched some clips from Age of Ultron. One of the things he says in that is... Well, one, he says, that's the Endgame, in reference to when Loki in Avengers 1 came with the Thanos' army. He name drops the next thing. That probably wasn't planned, but they were probably like, oh, what should we call it? Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. We'll go back to use that. But in that same scene, he says, isn't that why we fight? So we can end the fight, so we can go home. So it's like, that's been Iron Man's goal the whole time, is to leave the world in a state where he doesn't have to fight anymore.
He doesn't have to get in a metal suit.
And that's basically then what Cap ends up doing, is Cap says, okay, the fight's over, I've done my part, I can retire and go home and not have to fight anymore. And I like that as a endings for those characters. You know, I mean, they reverse their ideals and both, get their maybe not happy ending for Iron Man, but they get a good, proper ending.
It feels
good. It's really well done.
Did you know that at Iron Man's funeral, it has all those characters, and then there's just a kid? That's kid's from Iron Man 3. Right.
I was very confused about who that kid was at first, and then I looked it up and was like, oh, it's the kid.
All right.
So, I mean, they're setting up something, possibly. Either Morgan can take over the Iron Man mantle.
They'd have to do a real time jump.
Yeah, that's kind of the weird thing, is these movies have always taken place basically in real time. They take place in the year that they come out, with some exceptions like Captain Marvel and Captain America. I think those are really the only ones. And then now this one has a 5-year time jump, and also a bunch of characters that, well, not a bunch. If they want to do anything with Morgan, it's gonna be a
while, like 20 years.
That kid could, I mean, he could be his own thing. I don't know. I'm down for whatever. I'm not gonna be as invested in the MCU going forward, probably.
Yeah, me neither.
But like, I'm still interested to see where they're going. And honestly, if they can keep this level of quality up, like presumably they're gonna have to establish a new big bad guy. There's gonna be a new cast of characters that are gonna, have their 3 phases or whatever, their new Avengers movies and all those team ups and stuff. And then I don't know, who do you think it's gonna be? Galactus or something?
No,
it could be anyone.
Well, they do own the Fantastic Four again.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Galactus.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be either Nightmare.
Okay, I don't know.
That's a Doctor Strange villain, or it's gonna be I think the Doctor Strange's villains are the ones to go with, because he fought like cosmic level things.
Dormammu.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm Dormammu. I've come to bargain.
Come to bargain.
But there's like a lot of Doctor Strange's villains are like, I'm fighting the concept of entropy.
Yeah.
And like again, Chaos King. Maybe Chaos King. You probably don't know who that is.
No, I don't.
He's a really powerful god killer guy.
I feel like they would want to go with a more household name though for the next big thing. Not that Thanos is a household name.
Wait,
but like
maybe Doctor
he
Doom?
Is now. Oh, that's actually a good call. I think Doctor Doom as the next big bad would be really cool.
It'd be interesting.
Doctor Doom does need to show up. Yeah. I do want Doctor Doom to be in it.
Fantastic Four need to get a good film. The Fantastic Four are like cool cosmic people who go around the universe finding cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they never get a cool film.
See, that's kind of what I'm thinking Captain Marvel is going to be now. Like, she's going to basically be... Like, they're going to make more Guardians movies, but, there's always been those different tiers, those different levels of the MCU. There's the small films with Ant-Man, where he's just fighting one guy. And then there's the planet-level ones, like the Avengers. And then there's the galactic ones, like... Or, what do you want to call it? The space, cosmic, something.
Yeah, cosmic.
Yeah, cosmic's good. And that up till now, that's just been Guardians of the Galaxy. But presumably, they're gonna have to put Captain Marvel in that tier as well. Yeah, I mean, there is nothing on Earth for her to do anymore.
Yeah.
So she's just gonna have to go space adventures.
Before we jump off of Avengers, because I do want to go to Shazam, I'm gonna do the thing. People were mad about the fat suit thing.
Look, man.
They were like.
I haven't put out what we look like on the channel.
We're fat.
We're both overweight. We're not like big, fat, but like we're both overweight dudes.
Chunky.
Yeah, you used to be very overweight.
I used to be very overweight. I'm losing weight again.
And
I lost like
that's
10
good.
pounds.
Nice. But I didn't mean to sound dismissive there.
No, it's fine. I got it.
No, it's good.
It's not bad. It's fine. It's cool.
But we're both. What's going on?
I left.
Okay. We're both overweight dudes, and honestly, Yeah, shut up. We don't fuck off.
Well, they were like Thor's mother telling him to eat a salad just really belittles the struggle.
Yeah, you know what that is? That's called relatable.
That's called a calorie deficiency.
You guys like that? You fucking millennials. We're millennials. You talk about hashtag relatable shit. I feel like an old curmudgeon. You talk about hashtag relatable.
Get your off mom, of my superhero.
Your mom
films.
telling you to eat a salad is the most relatable thing I've ever heard in any of those movies.
Yeah.
That shit is that was my life, and it is still my life. I'm 25. I'm 24. I'm gonna be 25 soon, and my mom still tells me to eat a salad.
Yeah, like it's just. I mean, I get it. Everyone's like, body positivity. I'm cool with that, but like, Thor in that film is also an alcoholic.
Yeah,
and he's like morbidly, like it's only in his stomach. He's
big
like
beer
super
gut.
fat.
He's got a big beer gut.
Like he's not doing great. So like, come on. And this actually, to lead into Shazam, I saw the same thing come up with Shazam.
How? What?
When all the kids...
Oh, because one of the kids
is fat, and then he's like ripped, and everyone was like, well, that's insane. Like, why aren't there different body types there? And it's like, because they're supposed to be perfect people.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be in like perfect physical form.
Shazam is impressive in a completely different way than the Marvel Avengers Infinity War Endgame is. They're both impressive movies. Shazam is just impressive because it's competent. And all of its peers are horrendously awful. The Infinity War,
not that bad.
Wonder Woman is very middle of the road.
Fine.
It's fine. Shazam is the first one that is like good.
Yeah.
Straight up good movie, real fun action, fun story, like really good story,
I
good
would
characters.
Say
I like the
The
characters.
thing that makes Shazam better than any of the other DC films, and honestly better than some of the Marvel films, which is something to say, is like it's telling a story that is like not something I've seen in a superhero story before. Like I can't think of a Marvel film that talks about like family in this way. Like honestly, Endgame has some of it where it's like at the end, like Scarlett Johansson's like, she's like, this is my family, and I choose the families who I choose to be with. That's really not addressed in any of the Marvel films that I can remember, other than maybe Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians has some familial thing. I mean, actually, yeah, Guardians is probably the biggest one that does, because Guardians 1 is about Peter accepting his mother's death, and
Guardians 2 is about being a planet.
It is about him killing his dad and accepting that the family that he has is the one that isn't necessarily just his blood family. When Yondu is like, he was your father, but he wasn't your daddy. I'm like, can you not say daddy?
Please no.
Can we not daddy? How about dad, pop, any other
Daddy-o?
I don't know why I wish daddy hadn't been ruined by the internet, but it is. Daddy is just not a thing you can say anymore.
It's true. Yeah. Overall, I thought Shazam was good, way better than I expected. I had pretty like high hopes. But
I had heard it was gonna be good, and my expectations were met. It was good.
I was really pleased with it. Overall, I mean, if you haven't seen it, like you're not going to now, but it was good. I think it earned its money back and like made a pretty decent profit.
No, it did well, definitely. And it was a relatively low budget for superhero. It was like 100 million. In superhero terms, it was relatively low budget. Yeah, which is still a ton of money, but it's no Endgame. It's not got that crazy huge scale. A lot of it is just sort of Zachary Levi walking around in a suit. Like the movie doesn't have any huge
looking
scale.
Slightly off, right? Like looks slightly off, which brings me to our next topic.
What?
Sonic the Hedgehog trailer. So, okay, for anyone who doesn't know, Patrick is unironically the biggest Sonic the Hedgehog fan I've ever met in my life.
That's not saying much.
That's not saying much because there's literally only like 5 of them.
Yeah, I am also the biggest Sonic fan I've ever met in my life because I don't typically associate with weirdos.
No, but it's true though. So, for those of you who don't know, there was a trailer that dropped that caused such controversy that what was it, Sony?
Paramount,
whatever.
Sony, I think.
The company that is making the
Sega.
film was like, "Hey, we're gonna like do over."
Specifically, it was the director. The director came out on Twitter and said, "Okay, we got it. Our bad. We'll fix it."
The character design of Sonic, everyone was saying it's impressive. I think James from Funhouse put it best, where he's like, it's like they took the rules of how to make a character design and they just did the opposite thing, which leads me to my conspiracy theory.
He's like kind of impressively awful.
This is my conspiracy theory. I wanna hear people's opinion. I think that this trailer is a fake trailer.
This is a false flag.
I'm convinced. Fake news. I'm convinced this is huge news. I'm convinced that this whole trailer was fake.
Publicity
was not the design of Sonic. They have a design for Sonic that's just way more, probably similar to what he is and everything else. And they released this to drum up insane amounts of controversy. And you know what? They did it.
It worked.
It worked. People flipped their shit, and I don't understand why. Because I think Sonic games are so boring. I'm sorry, Pat. I've played.
I don't care. I'll put this on the screen. The picture I'm looking at right now.
Oh man. Yeah. I've never gotten them.
That's a good
one. I've never gotten them. I've never really gotten the appeal, and I've never understood how Sonic has remained like this incredibly profitable thing. Like when you think Mario, you also like in the same realm, you think Sonic, and it's weird because it's like Sonic.
Sonic, I think honestly, weirdly enough, considering his horrendous movie design, he's kind of survived on the fact that he just has a really good character design. I think like the overall design of him is really good and really consistently stayed good. And even with his kind of crappy games, he's just kind of ridden and survived on the fact that his design is just very appealing to look at. And even if his games are poo-poo butt, his games are still going to sell at least somewhat because there's a dedicated fan base that will buy everything no matter how bad it is. I'm not one of them. I did buy Sonic 06. I didn't buy
Boom.
I did not play Sonic Boom. I didn't play Black Knight. Or I played all of these. I didn't buy them. I Black Knight I actually borrowed from the local library. Same with Secret Rings.
Did you beat it?
I think I did, yeah. I never finished Secret Rings. That one was way worse. Black Knight is bad, but it's not that bad.
I just want the audience to know, for a minute on your face, there is a look of both, like, I'm thinking about it, and then just, like, a split second of shame.
No. There's no shame. There's no shame. I got all the achievements in Sonic Unleashed. That is an incredibly hard game to get all the achievements in. That took so many hours, and it is so difficult to do that, and I fucking did it. I've played all 3, character campaigns of Sonic 06. I've completely finished. I didn't like 100% it, but I got to the end of Sonic 06, and that shit also is not easy because that game is fucking broken and surprisingly hard to finish because of how broken it is. I have played a lot of Sonic, so there's no shame. Any shame that I would have had for playing all this shit is long gone.
Here's a question I have for you. So you know Sonic more than I do. You obviously care. How do you think this movie's gonna be? Because to me it looks like it's terrible.
No, it's gonna be terrible.
And Jim Carrey looks like he's okay. Everyone's talking about how like he's like doing so like yeah, he's really good Robotniks, and I was like, he's just kind of Jim Carrey.
No. The movie is going to be horrible.
Also, my prediction, the scene that you're excited about when he looks like Dr. Robotniks, that is the very end of the film.
Dr. Robotniks.
Or whatever his name is. Dr. Eggman,
I think they're going with Eggman.
Dr. Botnik. Botnik.
Dr. Kintober.
Dr. Man. That is the last 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah, possibly. Can we call him Dr. Kintober?
Dr. Kintober.
That's Robotnik backwards, and it sounds really funny, and I like it.
If you say it 3 times in a mirror, I hear Jim Carrey shows up and just punches you and talks about how you shouldn't vaccinate your kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
hear that fucking measles are like a thing again?
Yeah, there was like some outbreak.
Jesus. Guys, listen to me. I I don't even have kids. I'm in no danger from this. So I could just ride it out, but like, come on, guys. Come on.
This anti-vaccine shit.
Come on.
This needs to stop.
Jim, look at me. It's over, bud.
I don't know if Jim Carrey is even on that train anymore.
Oh, did he? Oh,
I think
if he got off the train, I'm cool with it. I know he briefly.
Was. He hasn't said anything recently about it, so maybe he's not on it anymore. Maybe not. I don't know.
Jim, you gotta come out and let people know.
I do not care about actors' politics. It's the same thing. Like, oh god, the way that the internet was talking about Brie Larson. You didn't see this?
No.
Colin looked like he was about. He like leaned back like he's like, oh yeah, this is this thing.
No,
then I said Brie Larson. He was like, what?
Time out. I thought of something else. So we'll go back to that. The thing that made me most excited about Endgame is before it, I had a trailer for the new Fast and the Furious film.
Oh yeah.
It was sick as shit, dude.
Yeah, man.
Sick as shit. They're gonna fight off. They're gonna fight off a. Oh, I'm sorry. They're gonna fight off a fucking. Well, he called him Black Superman.
Yeah, superpower
spears.
Yeah, Idris Elba with superpowers, being fought off by The Rock and Jason Statham. I'm there. I'm 100% there. I am in the theater already, watching the movie, eating popcorn, and loving every second.
The only question I have is like, why do we even bother with that?
Also, where's Vin Diesel? Where's Vin? Where's Vince Diesel?
He's with Paul Walker.
No, stop.
Driving off into the sunset.
The way that people were talking about Brie Larson in preparation for Captain Marvel was so cringy and stupid, where everyone's like, Brie Larson is ruining Captain Marvel. She said this movie isn't. She said like, oh, if you're a white man, this movie isn't for you, and that is really horrible and insensitive and blah blah. It's like, dude, chill out, dude. Shut up.
People like that are the reason why I'm afraid to like criticize characters like Captain Marvel, because like I do not want to be
right
associated with.
I don't want to. I am not on. When I'm like, Captain Marvel is a bit of a bummer because she doesn't really have a very well-defined personality in that movie. It's like I'm gonna get lumped in with the people who are just like with like the guys like No Bullshit.
Oh, that guy's insane.
Who are just like,
by the way, yeah,
ruined by SJWs are ruining all our media.
There's no
the
chance
feminists are taking over.
There's no chance that guy is gonna see this.
No
but
way.
if he did, man, fuck you. You're a really weird dude.
We're this channel is still small enough to the point where I'm
insult people.
Well, I am not worried about starting any feuds with larger creators because
no bullshit.
Yeah. There was a thing recently where some streamer, some like art streamer who's like pretty big, him and his girlfriend were like streaming, just like looking at other people's art, and his girlfriend just saw some smaller creators art on Twitter or whatever, and just like got really mean and was just like, oh, this art's horrible. I've never seen anything by this person that I like. It's just so bad. Are you autistic or something? It was just like being really mean for no reason, and everyone like called her out, rightfully so, for him and his girlfriend for being assholes
Dicks.
to this smaller creator. But the thing is, there's no creators smaller than us.
We
can talk shit about whoever we want.
We're only punching up.
Exactly. We're not bullying anyone. We're small. We're tiny. It doesn't matter. If we got a problem with No Bullshit and his like 700,000 subscribers, or any of these other people who are making these Captain Marvel's ruining Marvel thing, Brie Larson, oh, she's so horrible.
Do you remember his Far Cry video?
Oh yeah, no.
Where he's like,
that was the first one.
The point of Far Cry is that it's about the choices you make, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, it's not.
There's one. I mean, the Far Cry games are not all about making choices. There's like 3 choices in Far Cry 4 and 1 choice in Far Cry 3. It's like he's just completely talking shit.
Far Cry is about playing a survival game. It's about playing Jumanji.
It's about standing. You know what it's about? It's about sitting on a hill, looking at a base through your sniper rifle,
and a fucking tiger comes out of the woods and eats you.
Marking a bunch of people, and then just throwing something in there that just does the work for you. It was so fun. talking shit on the we've gotten so off topic, but man, the Far Cry 3 was pretty cool. It got a little monotonous, but it basically like
Blood Dragon was so funny.
It basically popularized the new sandbox formula with bases. You stand back and you observe the base, and then you go in and clear it. Except that Far Cry just kept adding shit where it was like, hey, you know, this game's all about clearing bases and fighting people and doing all, all this combat and like sneaking around or going in. You do it your way, and then they just kept introducing things that were like, "Hey,
here's a drone missile.
Just press this button, and the game will just win for you." Who the fuck wants to do that shit?
Press triangle to summon the spirits of the jungle that will attack the men in the forest.
No, I get so irrationally annoyed when games introduce new features that are just press a button and someone else plays the game for you. Like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood did that shit like 10 however the fuck long ago Brotherhood came out. Where it was just like, here's our hot new feature. Instead of assassinating people and like fighting them yourself, you can press a button and an assassin will come in and do it for you. Why the fuck would I want to do that? The whole point of the game is for me to do stuff.
I don't want to be a killer.
Why would I want to push a button that lets me not have to play the game? This is the stupidest thing ever. I had the same problem with Kingdom Hearts 3. It's like, press the button and the game will win for you. Great. Is this fun for people? I don't understand.
I was really sad with your Kingdom Hearts 3 video because I posted on it with like...
What did you say?
I was like...
There's so many comments on that video. It's like, insane.
I was like, who cares about this guy's opinion?
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag buzz off.
Yeah.
And I was really sad that not a single like. No one cared.
Yeah, well, it got buried under the thousands of comments. Not that I'm bragging about how much traffic that video's gotten, though I am proud of that. People are arguing like crazy on that video, and
and all Pat's sitting back with his chair like, dance my puppets.
Yeah, I'm just
dance.
like, yes, yeah. There's one guy who keeps going around calling. I wonder if he's gonna get mad enough to come and comment on this video. He keeps going around calling people incels. He just like,
shit, he knows. That's the reason I hate Captain Marvel.
Because we're incels. He like, it's so backwards. This dude is like, so he like, people will be like, yeah, I was very disappointed with this game, and he was like, man, baby, look at this incel. You're stupid virgin. And it's like, bro, you're defending. You're getting mad because we didn't like this weeaboo game for children, and we're the virgin incels? Okay.
Hey, at the end of the day, aren't we all just virgin incels inside?
You know, there's a hurt, sad little virgin incel, black pillar doomer honk pill inside us all.
I didn't know what half of those words meant. Like, honestly, I didn't.
The honk pill is the new thing that they're talking. They're like, it's a clown world. It's just like, the world is so crazy. The honk pill, honk honk, we live in a clown world. It's like, I don't get this shit, man.
The internet has
gotten too
ever since we let those
for me.
Kids get on there. I mean, I just can't stand it.
The internet has gotten too strange for me. I'm out.
Talking about strange.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Oh, what time is it?
I don't know. What time is it?
It's Colin's Corner.
Whoa!
Play the jingle. I know you're not.
Here, how about I just whistle one?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Anyone recognize that?
No.
Okay, some people recognize
what was
that.
it?
I just copied that from a video game.
Aww.
Sorry.
Right. Well, all right. So
it's a Proto Man theme from Mega Man.
You know, it was better when I didn't know.
All right.
Here's my question today. It's Avengers themed.
Ooh.
So imagine you are one of 6 people on the planet to get an Infinity Stone.
Oh, shit.
Right? And you can just take the stone. You don't have to do anything with it. But if you get another person's stone, you get to keep that as well. Right? So, like, there is incentive for people to hunt you down to get your stone.
Oh. And I could also hunt people down and get their stones if I wanted to.
What stone do you take, assuming that there are some rules to this? Like, if you get the time stone this point in time, is the furthest back you can go.
Okay. And are we just assuming that you can use its full powers?
No, it's like how it is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when they are not together.
So,
which is like Doctor Strange can do some crazy stuff, but there is like a legitimate chance if you use the time stone in that way, you will break time.
I mean, it's okay. So I need some kind of thing to use them with, because none of them can really do anything by themselves.
Yeah, you would have Loki's scepter.
Okay,
like that.
100% the Mind Stone.
Mind Stone,
and this is why it's actually because I just saw a video recently, and it was like, what's the most powerful Infinity Stone? And they surprisingly, I wasn't expecting this going into the video. They said the Mind Stone, and I did not expect that, but their justification is very solid. One, the Mind Stone is the first one that Thanos has, and it can very easily explain how he knows so much, why he's so smart, is because he's had the Mind Stone since before the start of the MCU. Like, we don't know where he got it, but that's just the one that he had, because remember, he gave the scepter to Loki.
Yeah.
So Thanos has been in possession of the Mind Stone for presumably a long time, and it's probably why he's like, you're not the only one cursed with knowledge. Like, it's how he knows who Stark is. It's how he knows, you know, all this other stuff. It kind of makes him smart. It also does so many things. It is the core of Vision and the source of all his powers. It is the source of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's powers, because they used the scepter to make them. Can do it. It is the biggest one in the thing. It's the source of Scarlet Witch's powers, who, remember, held off 5-stone Thanos with powers related to the Mind Stone. So like, there's some serious justification. There's some serious justification you can make for the Mind Stone being the strongest one. And also, if I can just use it to like know if people, like, what people are gonna do, if they're gonna attack me to try and get my Infinity Stone or whatever, I feel like I'd stand a much better chance than if I could just, I don't know, teleport. That's cool. That's kind of the only thing the Space Stone ever does, is teleport.
Yeah.
Open up portals.
I mean, in theory,
the Power Stone just kind of makes big purple explosions.
Yeah, I mean, the Power Stone's the one where, like, you hope that it doesn't go to, like, a sociopath or a psychopath who's like, I'm gonna destroy the planet!
Yeah!
The stones that I think are, like, the most, like, ironically, the Reality Stone's the one I'm least...
The Reality Stone is maybe the weakest.
Yeah, well, because it doesn't do... Like, we have no idea what it does.
Well,
except maybe the Soul Gem.
The Reality Stone only seems to be able to create temporary things or turn things into bubbles. It doesn't really exhibit any powers other than that.
I did look up, the one I thought was, like, the most nobody would want is the Soul Gem.
Well, we have no idea what it does.
Well, we kind of have an idea, which is the Soul Gem's ability is that it can in, at least in the comics, I think it does soul magic in the comics, but also it is related to, like, energy. I think I looked this up at work, where it can channel an infinite amount of energy. It's not like it doesn't generate it, but if you, like, say somebody used, like, a fireball at you or something, and you had the Soul Gem, I think the idea is, like, it just does nothing.
Oh, okay.
Like, so it doesn't generate energy, but it can take energy. That's I think I could be wrong on that. That was on the wiki for a second.
It doesn't really seem to do that in the...
It does nothing in the MCU.
Yeah, in the MCU, it's just kind of the last piece you need to complete everything.
I assume it does something. I mean, souls must exist. But taking that one out because it doesn't... Yeah.
We don't know what it does.
Nobody... Yeah. But, like, I agree with you. Mind Stone, I think, is... at work... Everyone picked that one.
Oh, did they?
Everyone.
Yeah.
Because they were like, I can just make the other people not do things. And I was like, you gotta touch them. You gotta touch those people, though.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But, I mean, presumably, you can also just sort of use it, similar to the way Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to see into the future.
Yeah.
You can just kind of use... It seems you can just kind of use the Mind Stone to just know stuff.
I think the biggest...
Like, that's how Thanos knows stuff.
Your biggest threat is the Time Stone.
Probably.
Because the Time Stone, in theory, can still just keep rewinding events back.
Yeah.
And that's real hard to do.
You have the Eye Agamotto.
The Eye of Agamotto. So you do Mind Stone?
Yeah, I think
audience,
Mind Stone, honestly.
Then my question to you, audience, is what stone would you take and why? Make sure
we've made a good case for the Mind Stone. I think
there's some other cases like you could all of the stones, if you're clever with them, could beat the other stones.
Yeah,
like because you could be like, oh, I know that you're gonna teleport my hand away with the stone, but it's like, well, yeah, I'm still gonna do it though.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's true. Then, yeah, or it's like,
then what are you gonna do?
It's like, what do you do with the guy who has the power stone? You're like, I know that you're gonna punch me. It's like, yeah.
And what are you gonna do?
Punch you.
Well, also don't forget the Mind Stone is the source of vision, and he can phase. He can shoot energy beams out of the Mind Stone.
I don't think that's fair to say that those are things you would be able to do.
Also, Loki shoots things out of the scepter. He does shoot lasers out of the scepter.
That's fine. I still don't think.
I think you could. I would say you could
probably hit. I don't think you could do the phasing.
No, probably not.
We're confined to what you see them do when they are stones. Honestly, the most impressive feat you see with the stones is definitely Doctor Strange, who makes a time loop.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, in Guardians of the Galaxy,
there's that flashback.
The one destroyed a planet by touching it.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty hard to
Also,
beat.
did you notice there was some people theorizing that
Beta Ray Bill's finally going to show up?
Yes, no.
Finally, everyone cares.
Sorry,
Rob.
That purple that big purple celestial dude who blew up the planet in that thing in Guardians.
Thanos?
No, he's somehow related to Galactus because his staff basically is just Galactus's head.
Oh, so he's a herald of Galactus?
Like the design of the staff is exactly Galactus's helmet.
I like that idea.
I think it's cool. I think it's a nice little seed. It's similar to what they did with Adam Warlock. Like everyone was a lot of people were expecting Adam Warlock to have some sort of role in this movie because in the comics he's integral. And that was why I was like they said they were like at the end of Guardians 2 they were like the Sovereign was like our new creation Adam, and I was like, oh, it's Adam Warlock. They're gonna use him for Thanos, and then they're just like, don't need it. Save that for later. To bring him in later, whatever.
Well,
or just don't bring him in at all, whatever. Who cares?
If you do bring someone like Adam Warlock, that's when you start to do cosmic stuff with that's the stuff that could challenge the Carol Danvers that exists.
Right, and that's when you just keep things completely compartmentalized until the big team up movies where things cross over. But like until you do that, you keep Captain Marvel off in space doing her thing, helping out with the That's actually the other thing I wanted to mention. Have you already heard that spoiler about Captain Marvel?
No.
Do you care? I feel like you don't really care about Captain Marvel that much.
I don't know the spoiler you're talking about. I might know it.
Do you care?
No. Are you talking about the whole...
I'm talking about the Kree Skrull thing. Yeah. The Kree Skrull reversal.
That was a really interesting decision.
I like it. Only because I only
Secret Invasion can happen.
I only vaguely know
Secret
of the
really
the
cool.
Skrull stuff.
Super Skrull.
But I think I like
Super Shag.
Okay.
Go on. Sorry,
I just really like I think that's a really good thing to change because they kind of had to get around the fact that they already introduced the Kree back in Guardians, and the Kree are assholes in that movie. We already know that Ronan, the Accuser, is a dick. So, like, they kind of have to deal with that in Captain Marvel, where it's like, Ronan shows up in, old Ronan, like previous, earlier timeline Ronan, before he's in Guardians. Yeah, we kind of have to deal with the fact that we already know that the Kree are not chill.
Yeah.
But I think the movie... That's one of the things that the movie handled pretty well, and I like that twist. It felt a little like they're just twisting things up for twistiness' sake. And Marvel doesn't usually do that. Usually the changes that they make to the stuff from the comics
serves a point.
Yeah, they're usually motivated by, like, okay, we have to change this because the way it is in the comics just isn't going to work for a movie. And that usually when they do that, when they make changes like that, it's good. So I won't fault them too much for switching up some of the stuff with the Kree Skrull.
But I will.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen the movie.
0 out of 10.
Okay, well, Brie Larson is ruining the Marvel universe.
Hollywood has been disrespecting me.
The white man.
Cis white man in his 20s.
I am a white man.
Too long.
And a woman was in a movie, and I am mad about it.
What's next? Is she not straight?
The feminists are taking over. I don't know. I'm not I'm not on the I'm not necessarily on the side of, oh, we got to have more diversity isn't a bad thing. Forced bad dumb inclusions of it are bad. Dumb and bad. I don't like feeling pandered to. Hell, we were talking about that moment in Endgame where all the women showed up and they all were like, don't worry, we're the women of Marvel, look at us go.
All 8 of us.
Yeah, even I was there with
Mantis was there.
Yeah, I was watching it with a female friend next to me, and she was like, even she was like, the first 2 showed up and it was like, oh cool, like they had that moment in Infinity War, and then the next one, and then the next one, and even she was like, okay, we get it. Like she said out loud, she's like, we get it. I was just like, oh, what's wrong? You don't like being pandered to? Because that's what it is. They're pandering to you. When it's that transparent, it's like, it's just stop it.
I'm all for diversity. I don't know why you wouldn't be.
I just don't like being pandered to.
Do it well.
I don't like being pandered to. I'm of Chinese descent. I didn't like in Rogue One when the whole movie, the cast of the movie felt like a fucking college brochure, and so many action movies just like throw Donnie Yen in because Chinese people like it. Look, man, I like Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen's cool. I do not like being pandered to. Yeah. It does not make me feel good. It does not make me feel included to go, look, we put a Chinese guy in the movie. That you like that, right? No, shut up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. Oh, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. It's only 3 sneezes. That's different.
That's low. It's on the low side
5.
for you.
It's usually 5.
What do we want to end on? We already did the question, so I guess there's really not much else.
Weird. Hey, what time is it?
Are you going to do another one?
What time is it?
It's already an hour and a half long.
What time is it?
Almost time for the podcast to end.
Hit the like, comment, and subscribe button. It's your boy Doomloaf. Make sure to tweet this. Hashtag BuzzOff. Hashtag BuzzAldrin. Hashtag It's a Good Time. See you next time on Hive Minds. You couldn't make it show up on the thing.
That was really bad.
You want to cut it? Throw out the whole podcast.
Throw it all out.
Throw it all out.
It's all going in the garbage.
Go on.